So we've all been there. We buy a game and we tell ourselves we're going to play this till the very end, but we just stop halfway through for some reason. It's not necessarily a bad game, we just can't be bothered to finish it. Today I'm going to take a look at 4 games that I did just that with. Spoiler alert.
Number 4.
Mortal Kombat X, or 10, whatever you want to call it. I actually really liked this game at first. So much, in fact, that I did a recommendation for it. However, once I was done with the story mode, I felt little motivation to continue. I wanted to, especially given how much of my childhood was wrapped up in this series. There was a time when Mortal Kombat and I were inseparable, but as I grew older I have found that I enjoyed fighting games less and less. I mean, hell, Killer Instinct wasn't enough for me to buy an Xbox One, and I was addicted to that back in the 90s. But after finishing the story and playing the towers for about an hour, I felt like I had nothing else to do, and the actual gameplay itself wasn't enough to hold me anymore. And while I know there's plenty more to do in that game, I didn't have any draw to it. It's a great game for what it is, but its impression didn't last on me.
Number 3.
Lego Marvel Superheroes. You know, I actually held off buying this because as much as I love Lego Star Wars and Indiana Jones, I felt that the magic may not be there. I tried the Pirates of the Caribbean game, and after the first area, it kind of felt like the novelty had worn off. But knowing that, I still picked this up. At first I had a lot of fun with it, but I quickly realized that it was just a series of puzzles. Now, I understand setting the gameplay up to cater to the different powers of all the superheroes is kind of what they were going for. That makes sense to me. But they made it so every new area was just a puzzle. There was no more action and adventure like you had in Star Wars and Indiana Jones. And that's really what I wanted out of the Lego game, because that's what I was used to, because those are the last games that I played. But everything was a puzzle. Even the boss fights were disguised as a giant puzzle. So after a while, I just got tired of it. It's a little gimmicky. I know a lot of people like this game, and I completely get it. But for me, it just wasn't doing it.
Number 2.
Project Cars. This one was probably my own fault. I wanted a new sim racer as I waited for a new Gran Turismo, and this looked like it was going to fit the bill pretty nicely. The issue with it is that this is way too serious of a sim racer. Gran Turismo still has a little bit of an arcadey feel to it. This does not. There's options that do make it more accessible, but even then I still couldn't get into the game. I tried, I just could not get past how technical you had to be with the setup of the cars. Now, that wouldn't be as big of an issue if the game explained what all the adjustments did a little bit better, or what would be recommended. It may actually do that, but I never found it. And I'm no stranger to cars. I've been modifying them and racing them for well over a decade. But I still couldn't relate what I knew to this game very well. It's different when you're driving the car versus doing it on the screen. I only played it a few times before I stopped. It didn't grip me in the first hour, and I didn't really have much motivation to keep going. The game's actually set up so your motivation is that you just want to keep playing and winning for really the glory and the pride of it. And that's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. But in this era of games with leveling up, items, loot, and other rewards in nearly every game, it's tough to use one's own gratification as the sole motivator to keep playing. Now, Dark Souls actually does it pretty well, but they also still whip some loot at you from time to time.
Number 1.
The Elder Scrolls Online. Now, this one actually pains me a little bit. I have about 25 hours into it, and I played almost non-stop for a few weeks. And by non-stop, I mean whenever I wasn't working or doing other adult responsibilities. But all my other free time was spent in the world of Tamriel. And then Batman Arkham Knight came out, so I took a break and I played through that game. Post-Batman, Elder Scrolls was never really the same for me. It's weird, it's the same game I was playing, but now I had a little bit of a disconnect. I didn't feel as invested. I think it's because normally when I play a game, I focus on that game and I play it until completion. When I stop, I rarely go back to it. But I wanted to go back to the Elder Scrolls, and I've tried actually quite a few times, but for some reason it's been unable to capture me like it did at first. I'm going to keep this one around and eventually get back to it, but right now I have a little desire to do it. I found myself just skipping dialogue so I can get back into the action and level up. I was taking a very, let's just get it done kind of approach to the game, and that's when I realized I needed to take a step back. I wasn't enjoying the game the way it was intended to, like I was before, so I found it was time to finally try out The Witcher 3, so I put that in, and I'm going to play through that for a little bit, and once I get done with it, I'm going to go back and visit Tamriel yet again. so maybe it'll feel new then. So there it is. Those are 4 games that, as much as I wanted to finish them, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. What about you? Have you been in the same boat? What games have you really wanted to finish and then just gave up on for whatever reason? So I hope you like this video. Feel free to comment on it, and have a great day. If you like this video, you can find more content from us at thedailygoatshow.com. Also, feel free to subscribe, like the video, and check out everything else that we have going on.